Thank you, Madam President. I'm delighted to be here on this historic occasion, the second of this Philanthropy Summit in partnership with ECOSOC. And Madam President, we salute you for taking the lead for this historic event. I think it doesn't, you all know this, but it's probably worth repeating. ECOSOC is actually turning a new leaf in engaging private sector, civil society, and helping build public-private partnerships for the MDGs. And we did this not on our own, aside from the lead from the Economic and Social Council. Mr. Shah Zukan and his team from the Department of Economic and Social Affairs and the Committee Encouraging Corporate Philanthropy have been our core partners and guided by the World Health Organization on the agenda. So we're very grateful for all of you who've been part of this process. And of course, Mr. Charles Moore, who's been the lead at CCP. Welcome, Charles, to this important dialogue. A number of very good discussions took place. A number of new initiatives have been announced, and I'm very pleased to say that the two moderators were excellent in fleshing out ideas of creative engagement. Secretary General early on said this, and Dr. Lesinger said that we need to build innovative public-private partnerships. And I'd just like to summarize some of the key ones which have come through. I'd like to start with IKEA, who has been doing quite a lot of work with UNICEF on children's issues. They have announced a new commitment of $48 million to a total now of their commitment through IKEA social programs of $180 million. And they work with UNICEF on children's issues. We want to thank you, IKEA, for your commitment. We also had a number of discussions in terms of the need for public-private partnerships relating to women's health. As you know, there is a Global Alliance for HIV and AIDS, but various people raised the issue that we probably need something as a Global Alliance for Women's Health. I know there is Green Tree dialogues which are taking place with the Whitney family and a few other foundations together, working with Bob Orr from the Secretary General's office. So I also want to mention that these are the kinds of things which we need, where private sector and civil society come together and agree on concrete action. In addition, there was mention of clear, succinct statistics on philanthropy. And some of you might know that Carol Edelman, from the head of the Hudson Institute, designed some very good philanthropy statistics, started with the US, and now doing some global work. And I want to thank Carol for taking the lead. And she's going to announce, I think in 3 months' time, a global program actually on statistics. Or not announce, but issue new statistics. Carol, thank you very much indeed. 2, 3 specific items. There was also agreement that there is enough of working in silos and that we must have close coordination among different single disease initiatives. And I think some of you in the audience have agreed to take the lead to bring together those who are working on different diseases. And we want to thank you for actually agreeing to do this. And we hope that what I'm mentioning here now and a few others which might come forward will be part of the ECOSOC report to the ministerial segment, which President of ECOSOC mentioned early on, which is coming up in July. Another issue which came through in the two discussions was the need to mobilize local resources as well as sustainable donor support from international community. Quite often, the issue of just grant making without leaving something behind has been a challenge. And I think both the panels agreed that we must have that kind of thing where local engagement is prevalent in all of the programs. finally, I want to mention one clear message which came out, loud and clear. It was that all stakeholders, including international organizations, government ministries, NGOs, private sector drug companies, and the local population should participate in the thing. It should not be a top-down approach. It should be on the basis of grassroots engagement as well as policy drivers. So the challenge is to match policies with programs on the ground. And that we are expecting that working with WHO and other international organizations, these initiatives will start to filter through. Actually, I think I'd just like to stop here and say that if you have any other new initiatives you'd like to record, I would invite you to submit that to the ECOSOC Secretariat so that they can capture that in the annual report of ECOSOC, which Mr. Shah will be issuing later this year for the ministerial meeting. We also intend to put that on the annual report of the Secretary General on partnerships. So we encourage you to give your information to us, and I think Leslie Wade, where's Leslie, would be the one who would receive that information. Just before I close, I want to say to you that this is the second time we have such a diverse group of people here at the United Nations who've come together on an issue which has often not been dealt with. Secretary General Ban Ki-moon said that global health is his personal mission. It would not have happened without the dedicated leadership of the Department of Economic and Social Affairs, and we want to thank Mr. Shah and his team. And I think it's worth highlighting that the people behind the scenes, often you don't see, are all present here, and I'd like to mention them by name, if I may. Nikhil Seth, who's the director of the ECOSOC Secretariat, Leslie Wade, Ajit Yogasundram, where's Ajit? Paul Simon, who is, all the press material you see has been put together by Paul, Katinka Pasha, Stephanie Rudy, and Linda Sanchez. When you came in, Linda was the one who gave you the passes, so she has the control over all of us. and again, from CCP, I want to thank Charles Moore for the great leadership he's done in helping us, encouraging us to do this event. And it was as a result of the work of CCP that we have embarked on International Philanthropy Day. Last year was the National Philanthropy Day celebrated in the United States, and I remember the commitment by President Clinton on this in the very early days. And now we have converted that into our Philanthropy Day. Thank you, Charles. And thank you also to Lindsay Segal and the rest of your team. Now, may I thank also my dear friend Jennifer Lee de Laurentiis, who is the Secretary of ECOSOC, a longtime friend and a big supporter of the work we do. I also want to thank my colleagues from conference services. You see the seamless work which goes on, our friends, our interpreters, who are doing simultaneous interpretation. Of course, the webcast, in case you didn't know, this program is being webcast live, and UNTV is at it. Last but not the least, I'd like to thank Captain Hoffman and his team for the excellent security you have provided us. Captain Hoffman, thank you very much again. So, having said that, the meeting, from our perspective, has been very rewarding, and I want to thank the two moderators, Betsy Pizik and Matthew Bishop, for the astute leadership you provided in steering the panelists. So, Betsy and Matthew, thank you very much for doing this. Thank you. And, of course, most importantly, our panelists. Thank you for coming together, and thank you for doing this. I tell you, it sounds a bit like the Oscars, but I did not get any award. So So on that note, I would say thank you, Madam President, for your leadership.